Greetings, 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 and welcome back to another adventure, I'd like to say, with Conversations with Ed. We're going to do something a little different tonight, something we haven't actually never did before, but it should be kind of interesting. So you know what you have to do right now. Start calling your friends. If you haven't already told them, tell them that Conversations with Ed is on. Get your TV, get your notebooks, get your pads. You're going to have to repeat some of this stuff that you're going to hear, and you might want to call on your neighbors, your friends, and tell them, hey, something very interesting getting ready to come on. What we're going to talk about tonight is the march, the anniversary of the Million Man March. Does it feel like it's been 20 years? Well, it has been, and we have some news that we want to share with you on the upcoming Million Man March, which we're calling 10-15 Justice or Else. And I have some very esteemed young men here. I feel like a midget sitting next to these guys because they're so big, but very, very, very knowledgeable young men from the nation, and they're going to explain some of this stuff to us. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at a 15-minute film presentation first, and that way we'll know what we're talking about and what questions there. Does that make sense? Let me introduce the gentleman first, and I'm going to have you introduce yourselves so I don't do anything wrong with the names.
All right, I'm Reverend Dr. Charles Shannon, pastor of Mount Level Baptist Church in Amelia, Virginia, president and CEO of Faith Leaders Moving Forward. Thank you for having me.
Outstanding.
Brother Student Minister Tracy Muhammad. I'm the local representative to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam, located here at Richmond, Virginia, Muhammad Mosque, number 24.
Outstanding. Good.
Glad to be here, brother.
And after talking to you outside, I know you're good representatives, and you both really know what you're talking about. This guy surprised me. He started popping diplomas out on me.
Oh yeah. He's lettered. He's lettered.
He's a lettered gentleman, absolutely. Well, that's good stuff. Okay, Akia, why don't we just get into the film, and you can put the number up. You know, I don't know if you can do the two of them, but if not, as soon as it goes off, put the number up because the calls will start coming right away. And we can relax for a minute. Let's watch the film.
Dr. King said you don't need to talk bad, you don't need to shout, you don't need to shoot, you don't need to throw a Molotov cocktail. All we need to do is to come together in unity and use the power of our purchasing to deliver pain, and they will properly respond.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now the other thing that we've got to come to see now that many of us didn't see too well during the last 10 years, that is that racism
not guilty
is still alive in American society and much more widespread.
Broke his neck after Baltimore police.
A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who...
Many in moments of anger, many in moments of deep bitterness, engage in riots. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.
Mr. Gray's death was a homicide.
The Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery.
The athletes marched onto a stage.
But at the same time, the nation refused to give him land to make that freedom meaning. Freedom without land to cultivate. Freedom and famine at the same time.
And create jobs for our people.
Negro is to be free. He must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen self-assertive manhood, his own emancipation proclamation. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will proud. Yes, I'm black. I'm proud of it. I'm black and beautiful. Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda bad treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. Our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from them. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
I didn't know these were things that Dr. King was saying. And when I read it, I said, this man, you must know the reality of Dr. King. He's more than a dreamer. So, this year, we're going to redistribute some pain. I'm going to ask us in his name something he wanted to do when they bombed the church in Alabama and killed 4 of our baby girls. He wanted to do all-out war, not violence, but shut it down. But he didn't have the support. He wanted to boycott Christmas. So today, I'm asking us, all of us, let's boycott Christmas. Let us wait now. When I say boycott, on the Thursday after the Friday after Thanksgiving, what do they call it? Let's really make it a Black Friday by let them never see a black face in none of their stores buying their foolishness in the name of Jesus Christ. And that boycott should continue all the way till the new year. We don't spend no money on Christmas because what they got you doing has nothing to do with Jesus. But this year, let's make Christmas a real honor to Jesus Christ. all of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many, and the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more. Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
All right. I hope you guys got a chance to listen to what was being said. A lot of us have seen what the film just showed over the years. We've been kind of exposed to the philosophy and it's a rightness. We've all heard that buy black. We've all heard that support your local community, keep money in your community. But the question I think right now is how are we going to do that? It's been said for so long, it's been said for so many years, but what has been done about it? And I think these gentlemen might be able to put some information out for us on what the end goal is for this 10-10 Justice or Else.
Yes, sir. One of the things that, again, thank you for having us on, Brother Ed, is that this is a spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that we advocate the teachings of all the prophets, Jesus and Muhammad. Mm-hmm. There's one faith, one God, one baptism. And one of the things that students of the scriptures understand is that God already made us one human family. Mm-hmm. And then Satan came in with all of these subtitles, mm-hmm. and over the years has done a massive job of causing us to focus on a subtitle of who we are versus that we are all children of God. And one of the things that Minister Farrakhan has done, mm-hmm. is he is using language to call all of us come back together, mm-hmm. and embrace it. And those are rooted in the teachings of Jesus Christ. And one of the things that we advocate is us coming together, loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul, and loving thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, I was just wanted to add to that, as we watched the clip with Dr. King, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about the redistribution of pain, mm-hmm. that, and as you had said a few minutes ago, the economic withdrawal is nothing new. Mm-hmm. Even Dr. King, some 40, 50 years ago, espoused that, but it has to be constant. Mm-hmm. The research has shown that each year we as blacks, $1.3 trillion comes in and out of our community. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, because of our reckless spending habits, some of the ignorance of some of us, we're not able to marshal and pool those resources for the betterment and the building of our community. So this year, starting on Black Friday, we're going to revisit economic withdrawal, but it has to be a constant and sustained effort right on through the holidays and beyond.
Now, here, I'm being a viewer. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, how do you think you're going to get this to happen when just by the fact that it's being put forth by Minister Farrakhan, who a lot of the viewers and whatnot are going, oh no, that's them black Muslims, they're crazy, and that's been part of the separation. Yeah. For years. I mean, so right now, if my viewers knew that I was going to have you guys on without getting a chance to really meet you guys and hear what you had to say, mm-hmm. they wouldn't listen. Well, they wouldn't pay attention. They wouldn't turn the show on. They're turning the show on because it's my show, number mm-hmm. one, and I usually have very good guests on mm-hmm. who know what they're talking about. So now and again, being honest, mm-hmm. okay, I don't know how many lasted through the film.
That's okay.
Call up if you have a question out there. We have the phone numbers up because we want this to be a communicative process here. There's things that can be learned and there's things that need to be being done that we're not doing. And I confess I'm one of them.
Brother Ed, 20 years ago, God used the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to give the call. But of those nearly 2 million black men that were on the mall that day, 85 to 90% of them were Christian.
Right.
Even though the call was coming from a quote unquote Muslim, the Christian community responded.
Right.
And we don't think it's going to be any different this year than it was 20 years ago.
Well, again, the only people that I'm hearing about 10-10-15 is from you guys. I'm not hearing anything, none of the publicity that was out 20 years ago, because it was massive publicity. The colleges, everybody was involved, and we're not seeing that kind of activity now, unless you guys have a surprise. Is there something coming up to tell?
Well, we've had 5 town hall meetings. One in Mosby Court. We had a second one at Second Baptist Church. The second one,
First one was at Royal Manchester.
Yes, first one is at, thank you, sir. The first one was at Royal Manchester on South Side. Then we went to the East End, Mosby Court, Ken Folks' house. Then the third one was at Second Baptist in the West End. Dr. James Harris he welcomed us in. He was on one of the panelists. And then our fourth one was at VCU. Our fifth one was at last week at Virginia Union. And things are in the making for us.
Last night, Virginia State.
Yeah, Mr. Tracy was there last night.
So the response that you're getting here in Richmond is very positive, is what you're saying.
Of course.
Now, do you think that in the other districts that your colleagues are working in, the response is the same?
What do you mean by districts?
Well, I know that you guys are not the only two out here talking about this.
No. There's an effort going on in Petersburg that is very strong as well.
Don't talk to the phone. Talk to the Hello, caller. Hey, who's that? Is that somebody I know?
Yes.
Who is that? Is that Kyle?
Yes.
Kyle, do you have a question for me?
I like the show.
You do? Do you like what these gentlemen are talking about?
I have a toy.
Oh, you have a toy. You can't tell me about toys now. We're busy, but you can show me when I get home, okay?
Okay.
Okay, buddy. Bye. You know, God bless grandboys.
Oh,
that's
no
my
question.
grandson, yeah. But again, the phone lines are open, folks. So, and if you want to have some input into this, I think it would be kind of appreciated, so that these gentlemen would know what to say at the next meeting that they go to, right?
But you know, Brother Ed, if I may inject here.
Hello, caller.
Yes. Ed, this is Professor Ford. I was there 20 years ago on the mall in Washington, D.C. And for those of us that were there, we had never seen anything like that before.
Absolutely.
Actually, Ed, it was a glimpse of heaven. Nobody fighting, nobody arguing, nobody smoking, nobody drinking. And I heard you mention about the mainstream media that they have not been playing up this much as they did 20 years ago, because 20 years ago they did not know that 1.5 million men were going to show up.
Very good
and
point.
They thought it was going to be a fiasco, but they have seen the works of Minister Farrakhan, and Minister Farrakhan has defeated every interviewer on mainstream media that he has come up to. But my question is, I'm ready to go again. Are there any buses leaving from Richmond?
So glad that you asked. I was waiting for someone to ask that question. We're going to have buses that are going to be leaving from at Saturday at 1 a.m. right from the Walmart parking center up on Brook Road, Perriman Brook Road. There's going to be another bus leaving from George Wythe High School.
George Wythe
High School. There's going to be another one leaving from Richmond Royal Manchester Center on 1731 Wall Street. The cost is nominal, $42. Naturally, it's non-refundable. And for ticket information, you can call 550-7888 or 804-901-0099. Were you able to copy that?
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Ed.
I thank you for the call and for reinforcing that point. That first march, they had no idea. This march, they're not going to be so surprised, but I think we're still going to surprise them.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get on the bus and let's go again, Ed.
There you go. Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly I thank the creator for that call, because we definitely want to keep that information coming out throughout this show. But one of the other events that we had a prayer lunch for clergy in the Richmond metropolitan area, and we had about 75 to come out. It was at the Baptist General Conventions for various faiths. And one of the things that I found, and I encourage persons to study for themselves. My grandmother taught me, read all you can, but don't can all you read. And one of the things that I've observed as a student, particularly in the university, as many persons of faith, of various faiths, many of them do not study diligently that document or scripture that they embrace. And in so doing, if they did, they will find out that there's a commonality of love that runs through all of them. But what I found is that persons will just go ahead and
hold on a second, caller.
Be satisfied with their own understanding and not venture out and find out how God expresses himself through other individuals, particularly of other faiths.
And it's universal. That's every place you go. Hello, caller.
Hi, how are you? Now, I like that last statement he made, because I have two reasons I call. One, I've never been a fan of the Catholic religion, but with the Pope landing here today, I followed it intensely. And one of the things he's saying is the same message that I preach all the time. You've got to get yourself, you've got to be with everybody. You just can't put yourself above the people that you're trying to help. And you have to show love and compassion. I want to hear your feelings on that. And secondly, I want to know the role of the women in this march, because I have never, ever yet seen a man do anything successfully without a woman beside him or behind him.
I love you, honey.
That was not meant for you.
All right. But I think we can get an answer for you, okay? And if it's not right, call back, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Right.
First of all, caller, thank you for your call and your question. Unlike 20 years ago, when the minister gave the call where he called for us as black men to be at the mall, this year, 20 years later, he's inviting our women, our children, our grandchildren, your grandson, everybody,
right?
But not just the black family, the Native American, the Hispanic, the Latino, the Mexican, and even some of our poor white brothers and sisters who have been denied justice as well.
And been involved and been feared us.
Sure. Okay. And so we've recognized, as the caller said, we can't do it without our women. So yes, our women, and actually, sister, this March, the months and weeks and months that have been leading up to this, the women have been playing a very, very important role in the planning, the organizing, and mobilizing. And Reverend Shannon, who is our local as well as the state organizing committee chair, has been putting the women to work every Thursday at 7 o'clock at 900 Decatur Street, where we have our local organizing committee meeting. So the women are playing a very major role.
Hold on, caller. 1 minute, please. No, you go ahead.
No, that's it. The women, they're out front, actually.
All right, caller. Hello. Hello?
So how can we stop the people from killing our people?
Well, it's not that easy, but we're going to try to explain it, okay?
Go ahead, Don.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, young one, for that call. Excellent. It's good to hear our young people engaged at such an early age, because they've been sent to marshal us to higher ground. One of the things that is going to be imparable, very important for us to understand, is that in that great commandment that I offered up, the second part of it, love thy neighbor as thyself, is that we're going to need to get the proper training and education of how we have been made in the image of God, and that we can love ourselves divinely. And in so doing, then we pass that on and marshal that through our own communities. As the minister says, there's two sides to this justice. The oppressor has one response from the Creator. This justice will be ushered in solely by the Creator. But the oppressee, those of us, as Minister Tracy has just identified, of all hues, even poor whites, our justice is to be able to experience freedom, justice, and equality now. So for an example, we were over in Mosley Court a couple of Fridays ago, and there was a prayer visual there, and we advocated loving self. I was looking at a piece today from a brother, gentleman did some research a few years back by the name of Clark, and he did a doll baby study. And in that doll baby study, here is a black youth, various ages, acknowledging that white is right, is
reaching
best,
for the white doll
and
baby.
then they actually acknowledge that black is bad. And then when you can see them in their eyes when the gentleman, the researcher asked them, well, what color are you? Which one do you look like? And you could see right in it. So Minister Farrakhan calls it and appropriately identifies it as social engineering.
Yeah, basically. That's
And so
what it
we
is.
got to tackle this within our own churches, our own communities, in our own households. We need to teach the love of God and then love how He made us.
But again, I'm a viewer again, okay?
Sure.
We talk about what we need to be doing, but the people that we need to be doing this with are the people that wouldn't even look at a show like this. And I'm talking, we were just talking about 60 guys on the basketball court and all the women in class.
Right.
Okay? I was a volunteer at the Richmond City Jail for several years. And I bring that up just about on every show that I talk about, because there's a perfect example of what can be done if someone is allowed to do it. And Sheriff Woody, God bless him, he has the right mindset. As he said, and he says it to his guys all the time, look, if it wasn't but for the grace of God, I'd be in here with y'all.
Most of us.
Right, okay? So he has the mindset of you can do better, and let me show you, let me help you, let me give you the tools. But the majority of these young guys out on the street could give 2 cents, and it's all from these movies, it's all from the DVDs. And I thought when we came through the 60s and 70s with the heroin wars and all of that stuff, that all of this would have been done. You know, somebody would have learned something from
Satan
it.
is very diligent.
Vigilant
rather.
The biggest, he perpetrated the biggest lie by making everybody believe he doesn't exist.
I wanted to say that, one of the aspects of this march, which is really a movement, the minister is calling for 10,000 fearless men. And when he first put that request out, the white media tried to take that and flip it and say that the minister's calling for us 10,000 black men to raise up and start killing white folks.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
And that was a lie,
a
gross distortion, and Satan being Satan. But the minister said he's calling on 10,000 fearless, us three included, to go into the cities, into these very cities that are under siege, where most of the killing is taking place, and to sit down with our brothers and sisters and to get between them.
That's right.
Blood on one side, Crip on the other side. But it's going to take us. It's not going to be done by the way of government. The oppressor, the slave master, nor his children are going to do it either. It's going to take us. And I like what you said. It's not going to be easy, but we got to start somewhere. So the 10,000 fearless, I want to be in that number. And I'm just as eager to get back to Richmond to start the work as I am to work to get to DC to October 10th. We're looking forward to 10/11 as much as we are 10/10.
Isn't that great? That's very well said, because there's a whole segment of our community that has no It's education is part of it. You know, it's not cool to go to school, and here you are with three degrees. I have a degree. I don't know if you're on the degree pit, but it'll come. You know, I mean, there's different kinds of degrees.
School of hard knocks.
There's different kinds of degrees,
Yes, sir.
and if you pay attention, that school right there is the one where you learn the most. Okay, yes. The school of hard knocks. But see, the thing is, and I said it, and again, I'm repeating myself to my audience. When I first went into the city jail and I'm standing in front of 200 or 300 guys, the first thing I said was, how many of you are first timers? And the guys who were first timers put up their hand. Now out of maybe 200 guys, maybe 7 of them were first timers. I said, oh, so the rest of you like it here, so now I know what I have to talk about. That kind of got it going. But what the point was, you, just like you just said, can't go out on the block and be a mentor. They're not going to accept you because you don't have any street credentials. My job, well now, I mean maybe
man,
I'm talking.
Go ahead, I got you.
The guys in jail.
Okay.
And there, some have converted to Islam, and I'm going Richmond City Jail. Some of them have converted, some of them haven't. But the ones that have gone through the GED program, the ones who have gone through the work release program, the ones who have been introduced to society, because there's a whole lot of brothers in jail who have they don't have a clue on what am I. They asked me one day, how do you be a good father? Can you teach us how to be a good father? I said, every last one of you knows how to be a good father. You just haven't done it. Okay, I don't have to tell you what your boy or your daughter wants. You know what you wanted from your father. So you know what it takes to be a good father. Let's just start doing it. Let's just start doing it. And this is what a lot of folks, when they get to, as again, our situation in life, suits, I mean, we live pretty well and whatnot, they don't think we know what's happening at all.
Well, see, one of the things, and you're right on it, and one of the things that I see God is doing through us is calling us to build relationships one at a time and call each other. One of the things that I've learned in pastoring where I have, and as I travel around the country and outside the country from time to time, is that many of us have common sense. We can sense when someone means us well. Might not be able to articulate it. So it's not about degrees, it's not about what you have in your head. It's more so about what you're going to use, how you're going to use what you have in your head.
Yes.
And our young people are able to look into our eyes, and we know our eyes are a window to our soul. And many of them young brothers and sisters, they'll be able to sense and see that this person is genuine. And then it's up to us to master what is the point of entry just to start a conversation. You have just said several times, you got people talking to you.
Yeah.
And you're not going in with your head all up in the air.
No.
One of the communities, and for various reasons, I won't call that particular community out here today. But in one of the communities that one of my organizations we're working in, they have said that persons of faith have come in and they put materialistic things on the table, and once they put them on the table, then they leave and almost like they wash their hands.
And they did their job. They passed out the material, right?
Right, or fed them or gave them a meal.
Right,
But many of our people, all of us were made to have solid relationship with one another.
Right.
And then through that relationship, we can see whether you really mean me well or not.
Very good point. I overheard one of the guys talking to another guy in there, and he was saying, no, you can trust Mr. C. No matter what he says, he keeps his word. That's why, and that made me feel so good that they recognized the fact that I was there for them. Now that's the only group of guys that can go back into the jail and monitor and mentor prisoners. Okay, that's the deal we made. You guys come out, you go on the block, and you tell these knuckleheads out there that they have to get their act together. The next question is going to be, well, how are they going to get their act together? Well, the first thing they have to stop doing is get off of the block, right, and get your butt in school and learn how to do what has to be done. No education, no future.
And one of the things that some may be curious about, we have a website, justiceorelse.com, that you can go up on that website and get all of the information, justiceorelse.com. That's national information. Also, if you want more local information, you can email us, justiceorelseva at hotmail.com. Justiceorelseva va@hotmail.com. And one of the things that we understood that we did in 1995 was we generated our own funds.
Yes, you did.
And we're going to have to do that again.
Basically
and
again.
And the projection is that we're going to need $3.5 million of our own of money to pull this off in a successful way. And so we are asking persons to consider donating funds. And if you want to donate any funds, you can make your check out to L.O.C. That stands for Local Organizing Committee. We need every one of us who are aspiring for a better day to put our dollars and cents in. We can make sacrifices so that we can have a better day for our children. That young person that called a few moments ago, you could hear their passion. They were very serious.
About how can we stop people from hurting?
Is that your grandson?
No, that one.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't. That was just another one. But I tell you, I mean, I'm pretty vast audience, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is good. Now, what do you, as an individual, expect from the march?
A further awakening. We know that Minister Farrakhan led us in 1995 by the direct direction of God to begin this process of turning to our closer relationship with the Creator, then our immediate responsibilities, which is self, our immediate household, then neighborhood, then community, now nation. And it's imperative that we continue to keep that moving forward.
Outstanding. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good show. I mean, I just tuned in, so I'm not sure exactly where the conversation's going. But I was at the Million Man March in 1995. Came all the way from Hawaii. And
From
I plan to
Hawaii.
go again.
All right.
I plan to go again, just so else. My question is, when we're praying, we're taught to love everybody. Now, is it wrong to, since we're not getting justice and we prayed, I don't know how much. Is it wrong to pray against your enemy?
Yes.
And is that a relevant question? I mean,
Yes.
just
You got two yeses so far. Go ahead.
what is that? I'm sorry.
I said yes to two of your questions so far, and we can get into the answers in a minute. But you said, is it wrong to, in other words, wish bad luck on your enemy?
Well, I mean, not bad luck, but however you want to phrase it, since, we've tried every other way to get justice, and we still pray for our own well-being, but it seems like we're not getting ahead, so should we not pray against our enemy? Is that wrong? Coming from a religious point of view or a spiritual point of view?
Well, let's answer it for you. Okay? Can you hold on?
I'll hang up.
Okay, if we don't answer it, call back, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, caller,
Great
for your
question.
call, and thank you for your question as well. We were taught, and are still being taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that everything in nature has a right to defend itself. Our very nature is life and to live, and anything that would threaten that, the taking of our life or doing harm physically, harm to our body, it is our God-given and natural right to defend ourselves and to defend this life, since this is the only life that we have. We are taught never to be the aggressors in words, deeds, or action. However, if aggressed upon for what we believe in, we have the right to fight with those who fight with us. Never being the aggressor, and only fighting in the degree to which we are aggressed upon. Mm-hmm. So to answer part of the caller's question, I want to hear from Reverend Shannon as well. We have to defend ourselves. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the minister has been saying on the speaking tour that he's been engaged upon the last couple of months is that we can no longer sit back and allow police, mob attacks to continue to perpetuate in our community. To see the attack on our young black men our young black girls. The video of the white police officer a couple of months ago slinging the 14-year-old sister at the pool, putting his knee in her back, and then drawing his weapon to threaten the brothers who would come naturally to defend the little sister. So we've been turning the cheek for a long time. It's time now that we start defending ourselves and our people.
But his question was, is it wrong to pray for something to happen to your enemy?
Well, let me.
Okay, that's what the question was. What you just said.
I would just say real quickly, I would not waste time praying against somebody. I wouldn't.
That to me is contrary to the whole concept of prayer.
I would. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Go ahead. Let me start there. One of the things that we have to get back to as a people, collectively, as a human family, since we are the originators of every hue, and that's another conversation for another day.
That's a good one.
Is that we have to understand we were made to be an extension of the Creator, and so our destiny is tied to Him, or to her, or to it, depending on which way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Watch out, man. So holistically, but the point is, whatever we ask for needs to be in His will. And one of the things that we've learned, if you study the message to the black man, Satan was given 6,000 years to rule. His time is up. And so understanding that, then
hold on, caller, 1 minute.
Then it's important that we understand when we pray, our prayer needs to be rooted in what is the time and what must be done. And so we should pray for deliverance from the oppressor.
That's right.
But James, and this is the last part, in the book of James, he talks about the power of the tongue, which stems from the mind. Anytime we think or speak ill on anyone else, that ill has to generate itself first here before we can send it over to us. So our advantage to be loving.
That's it, and that's our nature.
Yes.
Is to be loving. And I think, caller, I hope that did answer your question. Now, for the caller that's holding, I appreciate you holding on. How are you tonight?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
This is beautiful. But I just want to inform you that the devil is working again. Now, they're talking about not sending out the people food stamps beginning October the 1st. So this is something for you to check in, and this has a lot to do with that Planned mess they got going on.
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes,
They're
sir.
trying
This
to
is
stop
serious
that.
now.
Yeah.
This is very serious because they want you to be having abortions and things so they can be taking the livers and the kidneys out, sending it to China. Oh, wake up. He doing all kind of things. And if them poor people don't get them food stamps, we're gonna have a revolution here. So, darling, I thought I better call to inform you.
Well, I'm going to find out if that's true, and I know you're going to watch it next. And when you watch next week, we'll have an answer for you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right.
One of the things that is inevitable is that we're going to be put in a position to take care of our own.
That's right.
We're going to have to.
That's right.
The record is long and clear.
That's right.
The powers that be will not give $1 to help us rise from this condition. And so we're going to have a lot of, some might call it collateral damage, which is there are going to be a lot of persons who are going to not receive what they have been from the government. And we're going to need to prepare our temples, our mosques, our churches, our black-owned businesses, organizations. We got to get a circle.
And pick up I don't want to say pick up the slack, but somebody, someone, something is going to have to fill that void that's going to be coming, because they are talking about canceling Planned Parenthood. They're talking about Planned Parenthood. What is so bad about having a health care system for people who can't get health care? I mean, what is this business with? Because it was President Obama that came up with it. I mean, give me a break.
Every industrialized country on the planet has some form of health care plan.
And we should be the leaders in that concept instead of it being a money market. The medical field in the United States is all about money.
Yeah, but see, Ed and Mr. Tracy are always on board with what I'm getting ready to say, and I'm not suggesting that you're not. And understanding what time it is, we have to get back the land that we once had, use the land that we have. As the minister talks, that the first institution of an engine is farming. And so we got to get back to promoting whatever land y'all have in your family, keep it.
Yeah, boy,
and put it to work.
Put it to work. Hello, caller.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to you. Come on.
Oh, okay. One of the most beautiful things about this gathering that Minister Farrakhan and the rally of justice or health, one of the most beautiful things about it is that the caller who made a call about the food stamps, the minister is teaching us we must have some earth and land that we can produce and feed and clothe and shelter and educate our own.
There you go.
And out of this gathering, that will be done. I'm just going to be short, so I know somebody else might want to say something, but it's very important that we start thinking as providers for ourselves.
That's right.
Like the minister made a remark one time, you don't see the black bird begging the white bird for bread.
Right.
You don't see the red bird begging the brown bird for bread. And here we are, intelligent, educated people, but we're not doing it for us.
That's right. Thank you.
Get a chance to talk on that, please.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to make two quick points to go back to the sister who called in about the food stamps. The Honorable
Thanks for that call, too, caller.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said years ago that there was a day coming when the white man was going to drop us as a people. And we're at that day.
Yeah.
Secondly, one of the demands of the platform, one of the demands of the platform of the Justice or Else movement is we want justice for blacks, Native Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, Mexicans, poor whites, the incarcerated, and we want land.
That's right.
Now, quiet as it's kept, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam and those who listen and follow him have been buying land, hoping that that demonstration would raise the consciousness and prick in the minds of our brothers and sisters. We all need to be doing this.
Well, it's not funny that you say that. It's very insightful. But I was telling you about our church over on Pole Green Road. I mean, the church is 131 years old. New Faith, listen to me. Excuse me, First Union Baptist Church in Mechanicsville.
They're gonna get you.
But they talk the same way I do. Okay. But one of the things that my wife and I both commented on, and it was a nice surprise hearing from her hearing her say, I love coming to this church because it's like a family. And it is. And like you're talking about farm, these gentlemen have farmland, and they have vegetables, and they have, I mean, it's just, everything that we're talking about is being done in that one church that I know of. So now I know that there are a whole bunch of other churches that are on the same page.
Brother Ed, we could just, and some have, and more need to, is just starting little urban plots, man. You know what I mean? In the inner cities.
Yeah.
If we don't have thousands of acres, which most of the times we don't have in the inner cities.
You have a yard.
But you got a yard.
Yeah.
You know? You grow some corn, I grow some cauliflower or whatever, and we trade and we feed each
just
other.
Like we did for thousands of years.
You know, to add to this and coming back to the last caller, certainly I appreciate it as well. One of the things that Jesus modeled with his disciples, and it was, they had came in and given a report about the things that they had done for the people. And he had told them, this is around Mark the 6th chapter, I believe it is, and he talked about going to get some rest. And when the people heard so much about what he was doing, that they planned to go there to go eat. But the people were in need. And it's imperative that we seize this moment. This person was identifying persons that are in need, and there's going to be more of them. And so it's right on the front side of them feeding the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves. And the disciples wanted to send them away because it was about dust. They said, man, we can't feed all these people. But in actuality, what we're talking about from the land and all of that, we have to get the consciousness, to have the right consciousness with this land. So that instead of building a bigger bond and storing up more, as God blesses us, and the minister, and it says in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people which are called by my name will humble themselves, and I will hear from heaven and heal their land, our land is going to be healed. And we'll be able to feed our people, but it's going to take this kind of consciousness so that we can feed our people. I would like to slip in just one more time. We got buses, Mr. Ed, that we need to fill. We got plenty of them. We got some seats left. And we ask that you would call 550-7888 or 901-0099. Both of those are 804 numbers. We have buses. We'll be leaving from Walmart Supercenter at Perm and Brook Road. Then we'd have a bus leaving from George Wythe High School, and also Richmond Royal Manchester Center. If you got any other questions or concerns, please contact us at justice or else at va@hotmail.com. That's for local information. Go out to our website, national website, justiceorelse.com. And we're having our local organizing committee meeting, as Minister Tracy said earlier, tomorrow, 7 p.m., 900 Decatur Street at 7 p.m. Come out.
Everybody's invited.
Everybody's invited.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, folks, as I told you when we started, this was going to be a little different. I think it was a lot different. I have to thank these gentlemen for coming,
Thank you.
especially at this time, because it's coming. It's right around.
It's right around the corner.
10, 15.
Less than 3 weeks.
Traveling boots on, and let's get ready to get on up.
Get on the
and
bus.
Some changes, right?
Yeah. Get on the bus.
James Brown used to say, used to get on the good foot, right? But, you know, and we were looking at some biological stuff that was on TV the other night, and they were showing how the black entertainers over the years have contributed to the same mindset.
Okay.
All right. And it's just amazing when you think of what some of these folks did back in their time when it wasn't something that you talked about at all.
James Brown, what did it say? Say it loud.
Yeah, black and I'm proud. And I mean,
yes, sir.
We did that in the club one night that didn't act right, and we left. And guess what? All the white kids in there left with us. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But once again, now you have the numbers up. You have everything, all the information. Try to get there tomorrow night, but try harder to make it to the march. We might, I don't know if we have time to get you back on before then, but trust me, I'll be running this myself. All right, we'll be running it. And put my theme music on, please, and ride us on out of here. I'm so glad Akil is back.
Yeah.